Hello crafting people, this is Stephen over at the Bay County Public Library giving you another video here regarding crafting for Dungeons & Dragons. It's part of our ongoing Dungeons & Dragons program that is brought to you by the Panhandle Library Access Network. It's funding a grant, so I'm going to show you what we're going to be working on this next video. We worked on some trees and you're like, well, what am I going to do with these stinking trees, Stephen? And I'm going to say, well, it comes on a couple different ways, but in the end, we're going to put them in some foam. We're going to paint that foam. We're going to just have little display bases of these trees. And you're thinking, foam? You mean like styrofoam? Kind of. We're going to be, throughout these videos, we're going to be working with about 3 different types of crafting foam. And I'm just going to give you a quick introduction to what you're going to see, what you'd expect, and where you might be able to get this kind of stuff. First, let's talk about foam core. Foam core, this piece has been cut out and it's in crappy condition right now because I made a floor here. I'll show you that later. But this is foam core. This is stuff I got from the dollar store. It's basically poster board. It's super thin and it comes with a sheet of paper on it that is easy to peel off. That's why I like that particular brand of foam. And as you can see here, bam, there's the paper. It comes off and it peels super easy. And the paper just protects the foam. And once we get into this particular foam, we can start doing designs and cuts and stuff on it. It makes a really nice wooden floor texture, and I'll show you that in a future video. But that's just your basic foam core. It's about $1 a board. It comes in a 2x4 sheet of foam. But when we're talking about terrain basing, we're working with one of 2 different types of foams, XPS or EPS. And you're going, what the heck is the difference between these 2? Well, I'm going to show you. Foam. So, this right here is your standard EPS style foam. EPS for expanded polystyrene. I'm going to zoom in here real quick. So you see how you've got it's got the little balls. What that is that's polystyrene that has been expanded into a particular foam shape. In this case, a square block that we got some new tables here at the library. I said, yoink, my foam. And so we're going to be using this later for our various projects. But you can see it's little balls that are expanded. This is your typical packing material, and we can use this. Is it perfect for crafting? No, not completely, because when you break this stuff, it gets messy. It gets a little rough because of those balls. This particular one is super thick and hard, but that's fine. We can still work with it and do nice things with it. But when you're working on projects, this kind of stuff, it tends to break a little bit easier than the other stuff. You see how that comes apart like that? And you know, you get these little balls and it gets everywhere. But it still works. It's good. XPS is an extruded polystyrene, and what that means is that it's just one solid pour. And you can kind of see from this particular piece of board I've got here, this is pink insulation foam. You might also see blue insulation foams. Depends on which side of 23rd Street you shop on. They carry different brands. This one is particularly called Foamular. The other one is, I forget the name of it, but you can see right here, XPS insulation, and it comes in a variety of sizes and thicknesses. The sheet that I have that I got this particular one off of is roughly, I want to say it's about an inch thick. And it came in a sheet that was about 8 foot by 4 foot, which is a treat getting into the car, but I didn't need 8 foot, so it didn't matter. I wasn't putting it in a wall. It didn't matter. So I could cut it, shove it in the car as I needed to. That's how you could work too. But this stuff is a little more, if I had a sheet of the EPS style foam in this thickness, in this length and shape, it'd be super easy to break and snap apart. This stuff is a little bit harder. I mean, I'm putting some pressure to it and it comes out. And what we can do with this stuff is we can cut it into the sizes we need. We can use, on both of these particular foams, tools such as a hot wire cutter, which is just a electric powered wire that will get a little warm and slice through this stuff like butter. or we can work with knives. And we'll be doing a little bit of both. But I just kind of want to give you an idea. This stuff it's for the size that I got, it was probably about 20 bucks for that 8x4 sheet. And let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can probably get 5 good sized bases out of this particular, 6-inch by probably 2.5 foot board I've got here. So you can get a lot of use out of one large sheet. With this, where you can kind of engrave and carve into both the foam board and the XPS, you can see how my nail is just putting little lines in it right there. And I can do that on this as well, but it doesn't, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be subtracting things from it for our bases, but if we were doing more building style stuff, it would be more additive in nature. And you'll understand that a little bit more once we get into it. But this is what we're going to be working with next, and it is fun. It can be a little bit messy, but we're going to have a lot of fun. One thing that you need to know about both of these products is that when we painted the trees, we used a little bit of a spray paint. We can do that on these, but it's tricky because the aerosols in the paint cans will eat your foam. And when I say it eats your foam, I mean it will, if I sprayed right here, it would dissolve this, not completely all the way through, but it would give me a nice divot. It would do some damage to it. And sometimes you want that, but you don't always want that. So we're going to be we're going to have to seal it, and one of the things I like to use for that is Mod Podge or just some old-fashioned white Elmer's glue. You mix that with a little bit of paint, you get a base covering over it, you're perfect. But that's kind of what we're going to be doing. So the tools that we're going to be working with for our next video is going to be foam, some paints, some Mod Podge or Elmer's glue, hot wire cutter, and a little bit of our blade again. And we will get a nice base going. And until then, stay crafty.